Hello. Today we're going to work on changing the rear strut on a 2008 Lincoln Navigator. I bought a brand new strut right here in the box. Got shipped from Amazon straight to the house. Got a great deal on it. And I'm going to go through the process of removing the wheel and showing you exactly how to get the strut out. So let's go ahead and get started. Our first step is go ahead and remove the lug nuts on the wheel. You can do this with an air impact. You can do it with the tire tool that came with the car. Several different ways to do it. I got an impact just to make that job go a little bit quicker. Next, a few things to kind of keep in mind. The car is on a jack stand, so that's important to think about safety here. Get your jack stand. I usually put the tire under the car just in case it were to come down. It's not going to crush the rim more than likely. I'm going to say that's probably a little bit stronger than if it were to come down on maybe that. So I usually slide the tire under as another safety precaution. Now there's a few ways we can do at it from here. First thing we got to do is remove the brake caliper. To do that, there's two bolts I prefer to remove that's kind of located on the back side of the brake caliper. You can see one on the top side, and it takes a 18 millimeter. We're going to take this bolt out right here. We're going to take another bolt out here, and then we're going to roll this brake caliper right off the back, okay? And that will free it up. Another thing to keep in mind, when you finish taking that second bolt out, this thing's going to come right off, okay? So what I did is I just took an old coat hanger, metal coat hanger you get from the dry cleaners, and bend it around, kind of loop it around the top of the caliper, and then my plan is to kind of hang it out of the way on top of this bracket where the brake line comes in. Okay, you can see what I've got here. Brake caliper came right off. I hung it right there with my coat hanger. These are the two bolts I removed. You can see where they're positioned. Those kind of screwed right in. I screwed them right out, slid it right off, and now we got that out of the way. Next, I'm going to start taking apart a few other bolts. I'm going to spray a little bit of aniseed, a little WD-40. It's always good. Helps. Here on top of the can, this is our cylinder we're actually taking out. So get those bolts lubricated down, let them kind of free up. And we got down here. Good. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt on the end of the strut, which attaches here. So we'll end this rod. A few shots with the impact. Right off. Shazam. We're going to tap that out with a hammer, and then we're going to move up under here. Take my handy dandy 15 millimeter, and we're going to move up to the top of these bolts. Yeah, we're going to take our 15 millimeter right up here. You kind of have a low clearance, so you're probably going to have to do these, be a little patient with these, go around the side, get them. But once you take them out, the next thing we're going to do down here is to loosen that bottom bolt, and then we're going to see how much free play we have in being able to remove this thing. Should have a little bit. If not, we'll disassemble a few more things. But remember, we're about swapping this thing out, not trying to rebuild the whole car. So the goal is not to sit here and spend all afternoon, it's to get the job done and move on. I got more to do. Alright, you got these three bolts located on the top. A little word of advice. You use the open box end on the 15, and you just can make it a quarter turn, flip the wrench, hook it back up, and do it again. And if you do this over and over and over for, I don't know, 10 minutes, finally that back bolt back there, which you can barely see on my wrench, will start to come loose. It just takes a lot of patience. Okay, quick update. All three of these bolts are out, okay? You'll see the top of the strut kind of drop down. Now, I went ahead and put this bolt back in because I'm going to tell you, I beat it with the hammer and nothing happened. It didn't go through, it didn't come out, it's froze. That bolt looks like it's complicated. That bolt looks like it's complicated. That whole suspension just looks a lot. So, let's just go ahead and step back. I'm going to show you a little hack to getting this strut out of here and not taking all afternoon to do it, okay? This is kind of probably a little bit non-traditional, but it really works for me. All right, I got that out. I went ahead and hit the bottom up bolt with the impact, got that bottom nut out, the strut fell down. So my hack is this. We're gonna go back here and we're gonna take out the bolt that matches up to that frame. See how that forms a nice pretty little connector? That's what I'm gonna go after. So we're gonna go ahead and hit that one with the impact. And then I'm going to show you how I can drop this thing down and we can move it out. Alright, this is what happens when you take that bolt out. You drop it out, it falls straight down. Gives you plenty of clearance. I want y'all to see this. Bam! Lots of good clearance on the top. Now I can just reach in there, float that out, and put the new one in. Ready, Freddy. Ready to go. Here we go. Okay, old one out. Took about 5 seconds. Now you can see the old one next to the new one. And we're about to start back with this thing. Went ahead and just slipped the new one right in place. Now I'm going to lift it up and we're going to secure these top nuts here, 1, 2, and 3, and go ahead and set them on the top plate. Alright, brief note. Once you get the shock set, you kind of get the upper nut started. That'll hold it in place, okay? Down here, let it kind of drift through the bottom of that hole. You'll see it kind of hanging out a little bit below. Before you do anything, put that nut back in, okay? Go ahead and put the bolt back through, tighten it up, torque it down. That'll put you right back where you need to be at, okay? That's a very important step, because if you don't do that, you're going to end up with some load on that nut once you get the shock mounted. So do that one first, then we'll come back here and finish tightening these nuts, and I'll show you how to get the bottom. Remember, when you're loosening these bolts or tighten them up, you'll feel them bottom all the way out. So you want to make sure you get them snug all the way down. Okay, last little trick I'm going to show you. What I like to do is take my jack, I got 2 of them, and I put it right up under the ball, okay, of my shock. And what that allows me to do is load the shock just a little bit. Not enough to pick the car up, of course, but load the shock and compress it. And then I can wiggle this thing down and never ever stick your finger in there to try to line something up. Realize you don't want to lose a finger. But I use a screwdriver and kind of just move it around till I get that hole close. And you can see it starting to line up on the inside there. And when it does, I just push the bolt right on through and release the jack. Last little trick. Saves you a lot of time trying to be frustrated about how to get that bottom bolt in and how to line it up. You just put a little load on the jack, compress it. Another side note, you may have to take a screwdriver and then come over here to the bolt, and as you wiggle the screwdriver around to line it up, you can then kind of push the bolt on through. So that may be something to work out in your situation. Alright, once you get the nut through, you're done. We're going to go ahead and use the impact and put the nut on the back side. Shock installed. We're going to get back in here and get our brake caliper secured. Put those 2 bolts back in. Brake caliper go. Put the wheel back on. We'll be back in business. We are finished. Y'all saw how we did that? Brand new strut. Tire on. All bolts tight. We are ready to roll. Always keep in mind it's important to be safe when you do a job like this. Take your time on each step, even though we found some ways to do it a little bit shorter today. And the whole goal is just to save you a little bit of frustration. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful. Leave your comments below. I always welcome them. And like you said, I'm no professional mechanic. I just like fixing things.